All right, Thursday night football. We usually come into this saying, I don't know, maybe if we can kind of avoid betting this game, maybe we will. But second week in a row, pretty good divisional matchup here. Last week, the Colts, as you predicted or kind of alluded to, smashed the Titans. A lot of special teams errors. This time, we get the Cardinals, fresh off the Hail Murray, going to Seattle, to the 12s, to face the Seahawks. Everyone except the Niners, of course, the team that gets to the Super Bowl last year, tied atop the NFC West at 6-3, including the Cardinals and the Seahawks. Seahawks 3-point favorites at BetMGM, the official odds provider of the podcast. The total is a sky-high 57.5. Stuck, initial thoughts on what should be a good rematch of the 37-34 overtime Cardinals win a few weeks ago.
It's we have a really good Thursday night game here, which is always nice. And if you recall, this game went to overtime. The Cardinals scored like 10 points in the final 2 minutes a few weeks back, another primetime game, and ended up winning in overtime. The first thing you have to talk about here is the injuries for Seattle, and they're pretty extensive. Chris Carson didn't practice again today,
he's going to be out.
He's out.
Yeah, so they're saying he's like not likely to go. Hyde is going to go, but then you got Dunbar and Griffin, the cornerbacks, both out.
Yeah, they're two. And then Ethan Pochich, their starting center. He's didn't practice, and that was a big loss last game. But if you don't have your two starting corners, Dunbar and Griffin, that's big against the Cardinals. Who like to go four wide. They do have Umagu back at the slot, which helps a little bit. But you're going to have DJ Reed and Trey Flowers out there. The one thing I can say is for all the talk about Quentin Dunbar last year, he's been awful this year. He's been one of the worst corners in the NFL. So it's like, are you really missing him that much? But still, just your depth has taken a huge hit, and Flowers, I think, is a big loss on the outside. So a lot of injuries to watch.
Griffin, I think Flowers.
Let me say that again. Yeah, I think Griffin's actually the bigger loss on the outside. So yeah. With DJ Reed filling in, just your depth overall though is taking a really big hit. I actually make this line right on 3, so I don't see any value from a side perspective. I actually might take, and this is really, by the way, the Seattle defense, it's not just their corners. Diggs and Adams are supposed to be really good safeties. They're 63rd and 64th in coverage out of 70 safeties with minimum 300 snaps. Like, nobody's covering. They're getting no pressure up front. It's basically just you have good linebackers. But how often does that really matter on a play in the NFL these days? So the defense is really bad. And then you have Russell Wilson, who is starting potentially to regress a little bit. Is he forcing? Last year, last week against the Rams in a loss, when he got over the Rams' 45-yard line, he went 3 of 12 for 17 yards. No touchdowns, 2 sacks, 2 picks, and an intentional grounding. That's insane. He forced a really bad throw in the end zone. He's had some uncharacteristic picks of late.
Hey, I do want to give a shout out to the Rams defense, because I know both of us on this podcast, we kind of said, they haven't played anyone. They played the NFC East. Are they for real? I think they proved a lot in that game against Seattle. They have more than just Donald and Ramsey. You have Johnson, and you have a bunch of guys. And who is it? Brandon Staley is the first year coordinator. He's been doing a great job. So just wanted to give a shout out to the Rams defense. I was wrong about I just didn't think they were as good, or they hadn't shown it yet, and they certainly showed it. So shout out to the Rams D.
Yeah, they still have faced one of the worst schedules of opposing offenses in the NFL. And some of the throws that Russell Wilson threw had nothing to do with the Rams defense. That one, he could have ran for a touchdown, and instead he throws in the double coverage for a pick. That one was horrible. It's still, and look, Staley's doing some great things. He's using some college concepts. He's running, some new looks in the NFL that we've seen some in college, and they are working. And you have a lot of guys who are playing really well. I mean, so there's safeties, 2 safeties in the top 10 in coverage. You have Darius Williams, who's undrafted. He's playing outstanding at corner. And then obviously you have Jalen Ramsey and Troy Hill, so it's a good secondary. And then you have Aaron Donald, who you have to worry about. Now, if you don't have your starting center, I'm sorry, I'm getting way off base here. Let me say it again. If you don't have your starting center against the Rams, Aaron Donald can wreak havoc. And, I think Russell Wilson was just a little panicked and he was trying to do too much. But I digress. I will say that I've been saying that there's no way that Russell Wilson could keep up what he was doing. He was playing at such an extremely high, perfect level that he was due for some regression. So I think this line is spot on. It'll probably go back and forth at the end. I think it'll be a close game. We could get into the Russ and primetime trends, but I actually might look, and this is ugly. This is, I think, what my look is going to be here. I might look at an under, and it might be a first half under, or it might be a game under. I haven't decided yet. I will be on one of the two or both. And I know that totals that have closed at 57.5 or higher have gone – there's only been 12 of them prior to this game. 11 of the 12 have gone over by an average of 11 points per game. The lone exception was Saints-Falcons last year. But, this is the second meeting of a divisional matchup, which tends to favor unders a little bit. You have some more familiarity. And I think this is just I do think it's a tad too high from a numbers perspective from where I said it. But I also think that the Seahawks are going to come out – and I might maybe have to reevaluate this, but as long as Hyde is playing, I think they're going to try to run it more. I think that, and Pete Carroll has hinted at that this week. I think that they're maybe saying, let Russ cook. Everyone was saying that. Maybe they've taken that too much to the extreme. Not saying that's right or wrong. I think that this is what they're thinking after what they saw last week. So I think that they might come out knowing they have questions on defense, knowing Wilson struggled a little bit. They might want to, go back to the old Seahawks, especially in the first half, run the ball a lot, control the clock, set up some deep shots for Russ. So I think you might see a different look Seahawks team on Thursday night. So I might look at an under. It's disgusting. I mean, I think it was 27-17 at the half last time these two teams met about a couple weeks ago. But that's where I'm looking here. I think the line is spot on. How about you?
I am going with the Seahawks in this spot on the money line, though. I've not taken them. I don't know if they'll cover I don't know if they'll win by more than 4, but in the Russell Wilson era, according to our Action Labs data, off a multi-game losing streak, which is a 2-game losing streak, they are 7-0 on the money line, undefeated. They just don't lose 3 in a row. It doesn't happen very often. It's never happened in our numbers. So unless we were missing a game somewhere in there, it's never happened. So I like the Seahawks to get a close win in this one. And I do agree. I think that they will run the ball. And I think Hyde coming off the injury report, and you kind of saw why they held him out. And they gave Collins a lot of work too, because now you have Homer doubtful. So it looks like they're going to ride Hyde. In that first matchup where, remember now, Seattle got up in this one 20-7. They were up 27-14. They ran 30 times for 200 yards in that game. Russell Wilson had 6 for 84. Carlos Hyde, 15 for 68 and a touchdown, well over 4 yards per carry. Carson in limited action, 34 yards on 5 carries. You really had this team have its best running day, I believe, of the year against this Cardinal defense, and they'll be without defensive tackle Corey Peters, who already got ruled out. So it's going to be, I think, a little bit of a different look, and I think that'll take the pressure off Russ. And I think now is probably the time to fade this Cardinals team, just for this week anyway, because you look at what's happened in these past few weeks. They get the big comeback against Seattle in a game they probably had no business winning. That's what kind of started the Russell Wilson coming back down to earth. Then you had the Miami game, which they should have probably won more handily. It shouldn't had come down to a field goal, but Miami a lot better than I think people think. But then even that Buffalo game, I mean, the Cardinals had no business winning that game. they get down big in that one, and they come all the way back, and then their defense can't hold down Josh Allen, and then Kyler Murray's amazing. Well, you're meeting amazing with amazing here in Russell Wilson, and now it's kind of going the other way. It's like Russell Wilson's been so shaky over these past few games that now you almost expect – you're like, okay, well, now he has to like start making some of those amazing plays again. So at home, Seattle lost the first matchup even though they were up big. 7-0 off a 2-game losing streak. Never let it get to 3. Like Seattle on the money line here, but don't trust them to cover the spread. I think it will be a close game.